On May 1st, Council Member Vickie Paladino delivered her 2025 State of the District address at Bayside High School in Queens. Set in a beautiful atmosphere, the program began with the Pledge of Allegiance presented by the Fort Totten Honor Guard and Boy Scout Troop 235, followed by the National Anthem performed by Melina Goshinski and prayers offered by Father Fonti, Pastor Evans,
with grateful hearts acknowledging that every good and perfect gift,
and Rabbi Yossi.
We live in very challenging times where the world is desperate for real leadership.
The Tarumi Violinists and the Bayside High School Choir also delivered uplifting performances. A full house of constituents from District 19 attended, along with distinguished guests, including leaders and members of the Police Department, Fire Department, and the Guardian Angels, led by Curtis Sliwa, among others. In her inspiring speech, Councilwoman Paladino, after thanking everyone in attendance, outlined her many accomplishments which have brought positive results to District 19. We bring you now some highlights.
And so my office publicized the DOT event and invited actual residents of our districts to attend. The people who would be directly impacted by it. Turns out not everybody's a big fan of transparency and community input. As you might have heard, the event turned into a fiasco. They had no interest in hearing from the community. You see, the people who ran the meeting was not DOT, they were activists from a heavily funded lobbying firm called Transportation Alternatives, otherwise known as TransAlt. The event was only to discuss the best route for the Greenway, not whether the Greenway should be built here. They had already made the decision to build it. They weren't really interested from hearing from anyone else. And that event was attended entirely by bike lane activists from other parts of our city who were going to try to redesign our roads in our district. And they really didn't care whether we liked it or not. Well, our people, you know, the people who actually live here, we most definitely were not welcome. Of course, this was totally unacceptable. I made it very clear that this process was not going to fly with me, and if they had any hope of building anything in District 19, they had to play by my rules of transparency and community input and compromise. I offered to host an actual town hall where they could pitch their ideas to the residents directly and address any concerns firsthand. They refused. No interest whatsoever. The so-called Greenway is heavily dependent upon federal funding, and I will ensure that any federal funding that is ensure that any federal funding is revoked if it hasn't been already. From Brooklyn and Manhattan, and people who live out of state who now live in Brooklyn, okay, are not going to decide what our neighborhoods and what our streets look like. In every possible way, favoring the literal criminal over the law-abiding homeowners, and years long they're tied up in that. Portugal, and France are currently experiencing massive, deadly blackouts for that very reason. We cannot allow the same thing to happen here, because that's exactly where we're headed right now. I don't care what side of the aisle you sit on. I don't understand for the life of me what people have against deportation of the most dangerous criminals who have made our lives a living hell in this city for the last almost 3 years now. So what is the problem? So in closing, rest assured that I am on the job, and I plan to be here for at least another 5 years.
Following her address, Councilwoman Paladino shared the following brief remarks for AKTINA TV.
Vickie, well done.
Thank you so much.
A lot of accomplishments, but from all these accomplishments that you outlined tonight in this nice and long speech, long but not boring.
Thank you.
What are you most proud of all these accomplishments? Which is your most...
Well, the fact that I'm being successful at serving my district. That's really the biggest. For me, that's what it's all about. It's all about the people. It's all about my district. It's always been about them from day one. My kids, just my district. I love where I live, and I love taking care of it.